Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to this special webinar entitled Bridging the Gap, Practical Advice on How to Get Ahead for Aspiring African Aviators. Thank you very much, first and foremost, to our great friends at Embraer for obviously providing those inspirational videos. It was great to see those to kick off today's session. So thanks so much. If you can, please do use the chat function. Let us know where you are in Africa, I think, that you are joining us from. So tell us who you are and where you are, which is great. For those of you who don't know, my name is John Howell. I am the CEO and founder of AviaDev Africa. Many of you might know me from my postings in the African Aviation Group or through our platform itself, AviaDev Africa. You may have attended the event that we hosted earlier this month. We are basically a platform dedicated to developing air connectivity to, from, and within Africa. And we have a YouTube channel and a podcast channel that is completely free. So if you want any insightful interviews, if you want some more information, you don't have to necessarily go to university. There are some great resources out there. The Aviation Group, of course, is one. We are hopefully another one as well. Now, about a year ago, I started to become aware of the African Aviation Group. I know it was started sometime before that, but I'm not a massive Facebook user myself. But I was amazed by the number of people that were involved and the variety and the inventiveness and the energy of the people who were involved in the posts and getting engaged with the group as well. So I reached out to the founder, Chidozie, to find out a little bit more. We actually recorded an interview, a podcast interview towards the end of last year, all about why it was created, how it's grown, how it can be supported, etc. And in my view, the group has become one of the largest and most important platforms for African aviation development. And I'm a massive believer, as I know all of my panelists here today are too, that aviation in Africa is only going to survive and thrive if we support the next generation. We don't want to just offer inspiration. Today is all about offering you real advice, real pathways, getting our panelists to share their stories. It's not about me. We're just providing the platform. It's all about the panelists and their own experiences. And hopefully it will inspire you and give you some ideas of how to get started. So before we kick off today, a couple of bits of housekeeping. The first is, if you haven't been on a webinar before, you as the audience will only have access to the chat and the Q&A. So if I can see lots of stuff going on in the chat, which is fantastic. Thank you all for joining us. I can see people from Uganda, from Nigeria joining us, which is fantastic. Only our panelists will have access to their camera and audio, so you're there to listen. But we will, in about an hour's time, I will launch a live quiz. I'll explain how it works, and there are prizes to be won, which have all been graciously donated by our friends at Embraer, who are sort of sponsoring and partnering with us on today's webinar. So before I hand over to my captain, I'm sort of first officer here. I'm going to introduce the captain in a second. We want to run a quick poll to see who's out there. So this is for you guys in the audience. We want to know, what do you want to do? Why are you here? What would be your ideal aviation job? Do you want to be a pilot, cabin crew, a technician, air traffic control, management, or something else? And if it's something else, feel free to put in the chat what that other is. I just didn't want to dilute it too much. So if you can all vote, I'll give it another 10 seconds or so. I see most people have voted now, and then I'll share the results. And I don't think my co-pilot here is going to be too surprised with the results. So last chance, if you can just place your votes. I'm going to close it in 3, 2, 1. And here's the results. Surprise, surprise, 60% of you are keen to be pilots, which I think is reflective of what is happening in the aviation group as well. And most of the questions and a lot of the posts that apply to that. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to set the scene and provide more detail. I'm going to introduce somebody who you all know incredibly well, obviously, from his interactions. And he is your captain for today's flight, Chidozie Uzoezi. Chidozie is the creator of the African Aviation Group. He's somebody who's got an incredible passion and knowledge of the aviation industry, although his own story will tell you it didn't develop until a little bit later. He sort of stumbled on it and now he can't get it out. He's got that Jet A1 fuel in his veins. So Dozie, your work with the group is massively valued by all of us here. Over to you and set the scene, and over to you to run the session.
Hello, very good afternoon, everyone from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Chidozie Ozeze. You all know me as Dozie already, which is absolutely fine. I'm very happy and glad and honored to be sharing the cockpit with my brother from another today, John Howell, who is the CEO of AviaDev Africa. An incredibly massive, useful tool that supports African aviation for the past 5 years. John has said a lot of nice things about the African Aviation Group. I'm not going to dwell on that. So we're going to head out to run the show today on this webinar. Well, I'm your captain today on this flight, and John is my co-pilot. He's the senior first officer. We're adding pilots, but trust me, we're not going to crash you. So welcome on board, fasten your seatbelt, and get ready for takeoff. This webinar is actually a product of collaboration between AviaDev Africa and African Aviation Group. It's actually a product of a synergy between these two platforms. It's actually is the first of its kind, and one of the first in a series, hopefully of more that will come. We hope to bring this seminar webinar to you at regular intervals, perhaps once every 3 months, or every 6 months, or every month, as the case may be. So whether it's offline or online, so get ready for a lot more of stuff like this to come your way any moment from now. Today, I am the founder of AAG. All of you know that very well. And as a founder, I get lots of questions with respect to capacity building, training, choice of career, scholarship, funding, and so many things about aviation, challenges facing young African aviators. You understand? So I was talking to John a few months ago. We began to think about how are we going to answer this question in a broader way, in a broader sense that will incorporate a lot more people, even those who are not members of the Aviation Group on Facebook. So we come up with this topic of today, bridging the gap, practical advice on how to get along for aspiring African aviators. In short, I call it practical advice for aspiring African aviators. Before I go ahead and set up the webinar, I would love to introduce our panelists from all over the world. In the spirit of ladies first, I would love to introduce Irene. Irene Geraldo is the vice president of Runway Aviation Club based in Ghana. Runway Aviation Club is an NGO that engages, mentors, and educates the next generation of aviation professionals, both in Ghana and beyond. She's also a member of Women in Aviation Ghana. Currently, she holds the National Award for the Most Promising Youth in Aviation and Tourism. Irene is a very passionate woman about aviation. One of those few women who are genuinely passionate about African aviation. She is one of them. And she's also an aspiring commercial pilot. So, Irene, if you can help me, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Dozie. I'm happy to be here.
Today? You look very good.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And you?
Today. All right. I'd like to introduce the next person on the panel, who is Joy.
Come again.
Yep. The next person on the panel is Joy Ogbebo, popularly known as Mamaj. She's your favorite cabin crew consultant. Joy Ogbebo is the founder and CEO of Mamaj Aviation Consult Limited. She's the convener of the annual cabin crew fair in Lagos, Nigeria. She's an aviation career development advocate. She's also an aviation blogger. In terms of experience, Joy has worked with For almost 30 years, she has worked with Aviation Airlines in different capacities, mostly as a senior cabin crew. She has worked with various airlines in Nigeria, including Okada Airlines, Virgin Nigeria, and Discovery Air. Joy Ogbebo joins us from Lagos, Nigeria. Hello, Joy. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dozie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
How is Nigeria?
Dozie, you mentioned you are the captain and John is the co-pilot. There's no cabin crew on board this flight.
Yeah, only two of us in the cabin today.
The cabin crew.
It's an empty cabin, by the way.
I'm the cabin crew on board today.
Welcome on board, Joy Ogbebo. All right.
Thank you.
The next person is Maurice Kyalo. Maurice, are you there?
Yeah.
Maurice is an aspiring aviator, very passionate about aviation on the African continent. He's an AviaDev ambassador and an aviation content creator. He's currently an intern in an IT firm in Kenya. Hello, Maurice. Welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fine too. Nairobi, it's all right.
I can't see your face. What's going on?
Okay.
Yeah, Dozie.
Hello, it's your video.
Morris's camera is on, but it's just a black screen. So I think we'll just have to carry on until he fixes it.
The next person on the panel is Jesse Alex Oparachi Omenazu. That's a long name. It was a great name. Jesse is a flight dispatcher and currently a pilot trainee. He's also an AviaDev ambassador. He's an aviation writer, content creator. Jesse joins us from Jordan, Middle East. Hello, Jesse, how are you doing today?
Hi, Dozie. I'm good.
How is Jordan?
Well, very hot.
Very hot?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the program, Jesse. The next person is Derek Nseko. Derek is the founder of Airspace Africa and iFly Global, as well as iFly Aviation Academy. He's a business development consultant. He's an author, publisher, and entrepreneur. He's also a commercial pilot, which is the most important thing about him today. Derek joins us from Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Hello, Derek. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Dozie. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Happy to be here.
How is the long run in South Africa going on?
It's quite cold, eh?
Quite cool. All right.
Yeah.
Derek, I know you're a commercial pilot, but I'm the captain today. I hope you don't mind.
You have control, my brother.
Right, thank you, Derek. Welcome to the program. The last but on the list is Guard Patrick Wavamba. Patrick is a global air transport industry leader in commercial aviation. He's a sales director at Embraer, which is our partner today. In terms of experience, Patrick has worked with very many airlines and very many aviation companies, including as a principal management consultant at several airline solutions, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, GDS in the whole world. He also worked with Southwest Airline in America and our own Arik Air in Nigeria. And most importantly, Patrick hosts a commercial, a private pilot license. He joins us from Dubai, Middle East. Hello, Patrick, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Dozie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How hot is Dubai today?
It's hot.
It's hot.
Glad to have AC.
Perhaps you need to come to Nigeria and enjoy winter.
I do, hopefully sooner or later.
All right. Having done that, let me quickly set up this webinar and we'll go ahead for the Q&A sessions. Historically, AviaDev Africa takes a look at or focuses on issues around airports and airlines. For instance, they focus on route development, air connectivity, network aspirations, career landscape, fleet, supply chain, etc. This is the very first time they're dedicating a session or a webinar to, unless I'm mistaken completely, this is the very first time they're dedicating a session or a webinar or an event to as Pan-African aviators, which is what I commend them for. I sincerely thank, on behalf of everyone, I want to thank the CEO of Aviator Africa, my brother from another mother, John Howell, for this great initiative. I thank him and his team for this great initiative. I would like to begin this quick session with Maurice Kyalo. Maurice is an aspiring. Hello, Maurice, can you hear me? Hello, Maurice, can you hear me? Hello? Have we lost Maurice?
You should be able to hear him now. He's unmuted.
All right, Maurice, can you hear me?
Seems his camera and his audio has given up on us, Daisy, I'm afraid. Maybe come back.
Right. Perhaps I need to go straight. I will go straight to the next person, which is Irene. Irene, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Irene, you are the vice president of Runway Aviation Club.
Yes.
And for the past few years, you've been working with lots of Pan-African aviators. So tell us, what have they been telling you? What are the main challenges these people are facing in terms of capacity building, scholarship, funding, choice of career, and others? What are the main challenges? Because I don't know, the response you give to me will determine the scope or they will set up the tone of this discussion or this conversation. So tell me, those who have been talking to, what are the main challenges that have been telling you they've been facing in terms of those things that prevent them from realizing their aviation dreams? Is it funding? Is it lack of parental consent? Is it lack of opportunities? Is it a lack of infrastructure? Is it lack of training facilities? Please tell us, what are the main challenges, according to your own experience, that made these people not to realize their dreams? Irene.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think from experience, from the few years that I have been active in this industry, it's a mix of all the factors that you have mentioned. You know, you would find a group of different people belonging to all the categories you've mentioned, you know, and that was one of the reasons why Runway Aviation came about. You know, there's a group of people who have no idea, you know, and by no fault of theirs, it's just a matter of not having much information about the industry. You know, they are not exposed enough. You know, so once in a while, I'll get a message through my DMs or comment on Instagram or my Facebook. You have people asking questions. I want to be a pilot. I do not have a math background. Can I make it? What do I need to do to become an engineer? You know, questions of the sort. So that's just one group. Those who really do not have the information, you know, there's the interest, but then there's the information is a bit scanty, you know. And then there's another group of people who have been able to figure out which path to take, which career that interests them in the industry. But the issue with them is that they've been trying to find their bearings on their own. They haven't really associated with like-minded people or people within the industry. They don't know how to go about it. And then you have the third category of people as well who know very much what they want to do, except they do not know how to get there because the issue of funding comes in. And funding is, in my opinion, the biggest challenge, you know, we've had to face in this industry. So it's a mix of all these factors. You have people who do not know, they are not really exposed. A few others who are category is people who have the interest, but because of the lack of funding, they've been kept grounded for longer than they would want. Yes.
All right, thank you, Irene. You made mention of lack of information being one of the problems, which is very interesting. Do you understand? And you also mentioned something about maths and the STEM. Please, can you tell us what actually is STEM and how does it relate to aviation. What is STEM? How does it relate to aviation? Tell us, please. Hello,
Okay, so
Irene.
basically STEM is, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, so STEM is STEM is a combination of various disciplines, including science, technology, engineering, and math. And quite recently, there's been an addition of arts, in the mix. So it's now STEAM, if you'd have me. So STEAM, okay. It's just a combination of various disciplines. That is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And you find that aviation is one of such disciplines.
Let me stop there, Irene. Is maths essential to become a pilot? Yeah. Mathematics? Hello, can you hear me, Irene?
Yes, I can hear you quite well. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, you go ahead, please.
Yes, I believe math is essential, but a lot of, from the way a lot of people understand it, they think you must be, a genius, a math genius, but it's not necessarily the case. You need to have some basic understanding of math, to be able to put 2 and 2 together, to be able to, solve basic calculation, because as a pilot, you're going to be putting together lots of calculations. Before you take off, you're going to calculate payload, calculate the amount of fuel you'll be carrying on board, the luggage. You do a lot of center of gravity, check weight and balance, So you need to have a fair idea of how to compute and how to do those calculations, but not necessarily be a math genius.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Irene, for that answer. You've had Irene. You don't need to be a professor in maths to become a pilot. Just know your little mathematics and you are good to go. Thank you, Irene, for the answers. I'm coming to you, Joy. Mamaj. Hello, can you hear me, Joy? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Dozie, I can hear you.
All right. You are the convener of the popular cabin crew fair in Lagos, Nigeria. And they've done that for the past few years. I was one of the events a couple of years ago, and it was great. Thank you for that. My question is this: what actually are the essential qualities prospective cabin crew must possess? What are the essential? I'm not talking about looking good or looking beautiful, looking handsome, but the essential qualities in terms of personality, in terms of temperament, in terms of disposition. What are those essential qualities one must possess to become a successful cabin crew? Hey, Joy.
Thank you for that question, Dozie. I'm going to see how I can mix up the qualities and the skill set that you need to have for you to be able to function well on the role of the cabin crew. These are questions that continuously I get asked, and this is an opportunity to be able to really, really break it down. So for you to become a cabin crew, there are certain very, very vital and important qualities and skill sets that you should have. For one, we all know that the job is a very glamorous one. It's a job that is very exciting. I mean, a job that takes you around the world, you fly around the world absolutely for free and even get paid for it. You go to exciting places, you meet amazing people. So it's a job that is really attractive and very enticing. So there are a lot of young people out there who would want to come into the profession because of the glamour around the profession. However, behind that glamour is hard work. So one of the criteria you need to meet is the fact that you need to have physical stamina. You really need to have physical stamina because the job can be very mentally demanding, sometimes physically draining. So you need stamina for you to be able to take on this job of the cabin crew. So stamina is very, very key. Two, you need to have good communication skills. You're always going to be communicating with people at different times in the course of carrying out your job. So having great communication skills is very, very vital. 3, because of time, I'm going to try and see how I can just run through them. 3, you need to have human relations mastery. And under human relations mastery, you have you have to be very accommodating. You need patience. Under human relations mastery, you need to be very tolerant, because you're going to be meeting people from diverse culture, religious diversity is there, cultural diversity is there, different temperaments. So you are going to have to be dealing with people with different attitudinal behaviors. So your ability to be able to accommodate, have patience, be tolerant, empathy, they all come under human relations mastery, and it's something you really need to possess. Then good team spirit. You're always going to be working in teams with other people. So if you are somebody that likes to always be on their own, some people will tell you, I'm a lone ranger, I just want to be on my own. The job might not be for you, because you're always going to be in teams working with people you might not necessarily like, or who might not necessarily like you, but you just have to work with them in teams. So is good team spirit is something that you need to, also quality that you need to have. Then you also have to you need to have a problem solving skills and initiative as well. You know, you're always going to be working in a confined cabin, confined space. Once the aircraft takes off, you are up there in the sky and you're in a confined space. So you're always going to be thinking on your toes. Your ability to use your initiative and resolve problems within that space will always come into play at every point in time. So having good problem solving skills is very, very important. Paying attention to details. I've noticed that there are a lot of young people out there. Paying attention to details is one quality that some of them lack. And for you to be a cabin crew, you need to be able to pay attention to details. Attentiveness is very, very vital. From my observation, sometimes I can put out a post, and on that post, I'll put all the information required there. And you still find people coming back to you, please, asking questions that you already have the information there, but because they are not paying attention to details, they couldn't really pick out that information. So attentiveness is very, very key for a cabin crew or somebody who is aspiring to become one. Then, can I go on? Do I still have time to go on?
I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there. Okay. I'm glad you raised a lot of issues, a lot of qualities, including physical stamina, communication skill, and being patient and being accommodating. But you didn't mention physical beauty, or like.
Yeah, I can. You want me to talk about that? Yes. Well, can you hear me? Dozie, I can hear you. I can
yes, I can hear you. One of the problems we have one of the problems we have as prospective cabin crew is that we don't look handsome, we don't look beautiful. What is the role of physical beauty in the cabin crew profession?
Dozie, you and I know that no matter what services you offer, no matter what products you offer, you naturally want to package it in such a way that it's attractive to the customer.
Sure.
You understand? So what will attract a customer to your product or services is how you package it. That is what will make it appealing to them. So while the airlines are not saying that you have to be a beauty queen or a king, however, being attractive is part of it's in the mix. So
all right. Thank you very much.
Everybody can be attractive. It just depends on how you package yourself.
Yeah. Thank you very much, John. You've heard from the horse's mouth, even though she's not a horse. So don't need to be a Miss World or Mr. World to become a cabin crew. Just be good looking and have all the skill sets she mentioned. Thank you, John, for that answer. I'm coming to you, just can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. just before the show began, you saw this. You saw the question posed by John on the screen, and people want to become pilots. You saw that some people want to become pilots, other people want to become cabin crew and all of that. So let me ask you this very important question, Jesse. Why does everybody want to become a pilot? And look at you. You are a pilot trainee. Before now, you were a flight dispatcher, perhaps a flight dispatcher, but you're not a student pilot. So tell us, why does everyone want to become a pilot? What's going on?
Well, it's I would say one of the basics to that question would be, everyone wants to go for the top position. To an extent, but then I believe it's the question of passion and what you really want to do, and majorly the glamorous approach that we find to pilots globally. It's like a magnet. It attracts. Oh wow, he's on his uniform, and maybe growing up, you go to the airport, you see some group of pilots and their crew stepping down the terminal and the rest, and you're like, wow, I want to be this, I want to be that. Yeah, so, but to an extent, it's not, I wouldn't say it's all about the glamour and the rest. Mainly, I believe it's all about the passion. And with time, you would find out that those who want, I want to be a pilot, with time, if that is not really the passion, if it's just about the pride and I just want to be a pilot, you would notice with time that that idea will be dying down, and you're like, I can be an engineer, I can be this, I can be that. So if you want to watch out, if you want to really look for the one guided by the passion, you look at how long that dream has been pursued in that life, and you can determine from that. So yes.
All right. Tell us, Jesse. What are the other career paths one could take in the aviation industry besides being a pilot or cabin crew? What are the other career paths available?
Yeah, there are lots. 101.
Tell us, please.
You could be a flight dispatcher. A flight dispatcher is the closest to being a pilot. Actually, some people might say the cabin crew is being closest, but then I believe when it comes to the knowledge base, the flight dispatcher is the closest to becoming an airline pilot. Then you have the aircraft LME licensed aircraft maintenance engineers. There are lots, and you could actually, if you don't want to be a licensed engineer, you could actually be a technician, which is a little bit lower than being a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. There are management positions in the aviation industry. In fact, I find the management positions more interesting compared to being the whole piloting. You could be a pilot and be in a management position. So there are various, being an air traffic controller is part of it, being a cabin crew like Mama Joy has mentioned, aeronautical technicians are still within the circle. There are a lot actually. I have a friend here who schools with me from Nigeria here. He started his flight training there. He got to PPL stage and he was tired of the country Jordan that way. So he decided to go to the US, to Embraer, to do aeronautical engineering alongside his pilot training. There's a course that gives you both an electronic aeronautical engineering certificate and a CPL pilot license. So there are a lot of careers you can look.
All right, Jesse, thank you for all of those things in the message. So you have heard from Jesse, you can become anything, so many things in the aviation industry, not only the pilots, can become cabin crew, dispatcher, AME, technician, aerospace engineer, aviation maintenance engineer. So there are many things you could become in the industry, not just pilots. There are many things you can become. Don't waste your time wanting to become a pilot, because we all can be pilots. It's not possible. That's not even necessary. Thank you very much, Jess, for that answer. I'm coming to you, Derek. Derek, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Right. Perhaps this is the most important question I'm going to be asking on this webinar today. And I want you to answer this question in the clearest of terms, no ambiguity. So if you were doing a quick elevator pitch, Derek, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Right. So in a quick elevator pitch, tell us, why is it that pilot training is very, very, very expensive?
Yeah, that's that's actually a very good question. Yeah, but actually, before I answer that question, I just want to roll back a little bit. I just want to re-emphasize the point that Jason was making, because I think it's actually very important about the different careers in the industry. I firmly believe that no matter what skill set you have in life, there's actually a place for you in the aviation industry. You could be a doctor, and you could be an aviation doctor. You could be a chef, and you could work as part of the team that is providing catering services to an airline. You could be in marketing. You could be a salesperson. You know, you could be an IT person. The airline industry is driven by IT. So you can give me whatever career that exists. I can place you somewhere in this aviation industry. The industry works around an ecosystem, and every aspect is important to that industry, and you can tap into this industry no matter where you're coming from. So there's a place for you. Don't be fixated on piloting alone as the career. Of course, it is the most glamorous aspect of it because of this visibility, but there's just so much more behind the scenes and around the industry. Now, just to come to your question that you asked about the expense, why is it expensive? And this is one of our main challenges as an industry. When it comes to skills development in aviation, aviation is extremely expensive. So obviously the barrier to entry in the industry is very high, and aviation remains a career for the privileged, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's expensive for a reason. And yes, you want to be pilots. You all want to be pilots, but you have to remember that the most important aspect, well, it might not be the most important aspect, but a key aspect of that, becoming a pilot, is actually learning how to fly. That's really what you want to learn. That's the skill that you're trying to acquire. And flying means flying an aircraft. So if you're going to actually fly an aeroplane, it means you have to incur the cost of flying an aeroplane. An aeroplane does not run on the gas that you pick up at engine when you're driving your cars, and neither does it consume at the same rate. It's extremely expensive to run. So you know, the cost of just flying alone, yeah, is expensive on its own. You know, so when you're paying for your flight training, you're paying for the cost of the actual flying. Yeah, there's someone who is seated in the aircraft with you that's teaching you how to fly. That person is called an instructor, and you're paying for their time as well. You know, and you're certainly paying an extra amount of money to the school that is taking care of this entire arrangement. So when you put everything together, I mean, the cost of fuel is extremely expensive, and it's measured per the dollar, and there's nothing we can do about that. We can't change the oil price. You know, the only thing that we can change perhaps is the technology around the aircrafts that we are flying. Maybe we need to look into the future, and perhaps Gad can speak about this. I don't know if Embraer has plans to bring us an electric aircraft that we're just going to plug into the socket and fly. That would definitely bring down the cost of flying without a doubt. Yeah, so that is the key. That's the cornerstone of the pricing around flight training.
Thank you, Derek, for that information. It's very essential. Now, a few weeks ago, we did a poll on Facebook, on the group on Facebook, and we asked a question: what is the single most important factor that prevents aspiring aviators from achieving their dreams? Listen to this. 1% said it was lack of parental consent. 1% said it was inadequate training facility. 5% said it was lack of information. 6% said it was poor training facilities. And 87% said it was lack of funding. 87% said it was lack of funding. Do you understand? So this is an issue. And interestingly, the rich kids who have rich parents and rich uncles don't have passion for aviation. They want to rap music, they want to be musicians and DJs. But those from humble background, who have poor parents, who have poor uncles, are the ones who are genuinely passionate about aviation. They're the ones that want to become pilots, but they can't because they don't have all the money. You understand? But my second question is this: apart from being self-sponsored, what other things can they do? What other means can they take advantage of? What other things they can do to fund their dream? What can, is it like loan or grants or funding or scholarship or even crowdfunding? Or should they allow their dreams die away like that? Derek, please answer.
Is that for me?
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting question. And unfortunately, I cannot give you many answers to that. That's why there's so many young people who are storming your inbox every other day because the solutions are very few. Personally, yes, I did face the same challenge as well. Financing is a huge challenge for flight training. I believe from my experience that the options that one has in terms of getting some form of sponsorship really lie within your national borders. There's very few opportunities across borders. If you are, say, a foreign national in another country, you're not going to access the funding programs that are in that country. It's extremely difficult. So the easiest thing is to try and tap in case there is a national program of some sort, or from maybe the ministry that is in charge of aviation. Another route is perhaps to attach yourself to certain airlines. Airlines tend to have cadet programs, or for you to appeal to them so that you can get in line with their cadetship. Another route that I've seen happen, especially here in South Africa, some people tend to go to flight schools and offer to work. So you can work at a flying school in exchange for flying hours. You know, those are some of the options that do exist. It's unfortunate, and I really do believe that the future, because this is a problem that affects the entire industry around the world and Africa, but we're talking about Africa here. I think we need a Pan-African solution to this problem of financing, because the human capital development is essential for our entire industry to get to the level that we want it to be. But there's not too many options, and those are the only ones I can give you off my head.
All right. Thank you very much, Derek. We're coming to that much later during this webinar. I'm coming to you, Gad, Patrick. Hello, Patrick, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you loud and clear, Dozie.
Right, you've had years of experience in this industry, in the commercial sector, and the private sector, and all of that. I'm going to ask you a very important question, straightforward. Do you think Africa has invested enough in capacity building in terms of training pilots, training facilities, training institutions? Do you think Africa has invested enough in this industry in terms of capacity building? Let me rephrase. Can you cross your heart and say Africa has one of the best aviation schools in the world? Patrick.
Very good question. Look, I think the continent definitely has a gap between what can be achieved. And I think we all know the environment in Africa is quite difficult in some ways. So I think the full potential of capacity building hasn't been met yet. There's definitely an opportunity to improve that. But it's been impressive on what the continent has been able to do to get by, based off of the tough challenges in the industry and also in Africa. I think indeed there's a massive opportunity to increase capacity building in Africa. And I think that it's improving over time. I mean, if you look 10 to 15 years ago, you didn't have many MROs in Africa, many which are maintenance, repair, and overhaul. That's where airlines would have to send their aircraft for maintenance. Majority of African airlines would have to go and send their aircraft to Europe or Middle East to get their aircraft maintained, and they would come back into the continent. And if you look today, Embraer, for example, we have invested in an MRO in Nairobi, Kenya, where Kenya Airways does work for their Embraers and many other Embraers in the region. There's also MRO capability in South Africa, and more coming to the field. So I think that's one example that things are improving over time, but we're not there yet. And there definitely is an opportunity to improve not only just MRO, but flight training school, assistance on training programs, workshops, and even forums like this. I'm impressed that this has been able to come together. I think we need to do this more often, and this is a vehicle of capacity building.
All right, I'm glad you mentioned gap when you were making your comments. Let me ask you, is there anything that Embraer is doing to help narrow this gap in capacity in Africa? Is Embraer established regional or more regional offices in Africa? Are they installing more simulators in Africa? Tell us, what is Embraer doing to close this gap?
Yeah, so Embraer, we're the third largest aircraft manufacturer on the globe. We're now the second largest aircraft manufacturer in Africa. And because we have more than 200 aircraft operating in the continent, we have invested in the continent very heavily. So we do have our first, and I'm hoping for more, but Embraer E-Jet training facility on the continent in Johannesburg, South Africa. What does this mean? This means that if any of our airline customers have to do flight training on the Embraer, they don't have to go abroad. They can do the flight training on the Embraer E-Jet in the continent, in also a currency, in the Rand currency, which is a bit more affordable in some ways. And also they don't have to go outside of the continent. So it's keeping things in-house. We've also partnered up with universities. So I know we've done schemes between universities in Morocco, universities in Nigeria as well, and partnered up with universities in Brazil, where Embraer is actually headquartered and founded, to share knowledge and help with training and engineering and skills gap and sharing of aeronautical education. So these are just a few examples of what Embraer is doing. And I would say also the other aircraft manufacturers are doing somewhat the same. So
I'm glad Embraer is doing quite a lot in this regard. You are doing a lot to close the gap that exists in capacity in Africa. Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm coming back to you with a lot more questions. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming to you, Jesse. Hello, Jesse, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Right. Do you agree with Patrick that there is a gap in capacity in Africa? Do you agree with him that there's a gap that needs to be closed in Africa? Let me rephrase. We have flight schools in Nigeria and in Africa, East Africa, South Africa, West Africa. So what did you choose? Do you think there is a gap in Africa? What did you choose to go to Jordan, Middle East, to do your pilot training? Is there something that didn't well there that we're not getting right in Africa? Tell us, please.
Okay, I think I will jump down to the last point you made. Is there something they're doing well here that isn't being done back in Africa? So I'll focus on Nigeria. I actually wanted to have an IATPL integrated airline transport pilot license, which incorporates the ATPL ground school in your CPL. And it wasn't really done in Nigeria. It was about, it started off back in 2015 at the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, but then the school is run by the government, and regulations are being meted out by the Senate, the parliament. So I think they actually stopped it, and well, I had no choice. I would have chosen maybe another flight school within Africa, but the one that just came up, I went for it. So I would say, yes, there's a gap in that aspect. I wanted to do something and it was not available in Nigeria, so I decided to go out. So yes.
Do you think that training in Nigeria or in Africa is too long? Do you think it takes Nigeria and Africa?
No, it's the same. It's the same duration when you compare what you're getting and the cost. Actually, I believe you know that the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology is the cheapest flight school in the whole world right now. Compared when you look at the cost and the equipment being used, so there's no much gap when it comes to duration of training, and especially in flight training. I'm focusing on flight training. I don't know about other like air traffic control and other aircraft maintenance engineering courses, because for instance, your standard flight training in Nigeria takes about 2.5 years. In Jordan here and most countries, it's the same thing. When it comes to the integrated airline transport pilot license, Nigeria doesn't do that. Now, for your aircraft maintenance engineering, it's the same 2.5 years. It's just more expensive outside Nigeria. So I think it's even of more advantage to do your training within, like I said, I'm focusing on Nigeria because I know much of Nigeria than any other African country. So for Nigerians, per se, it's cheaper to do your flight training in Nigeria and your aircraft maintenance engineering training in Nigeria.
All right, just in a minute or two, share your experiences with us in terms of challenges you have to deal with every day as a pilot trainee, whether it's funding, whether it's academic challenges, whether it's operational uncertainties. Tell us, because there are many aviators who are listening. They think everything is glamour. What are the challenges a pilot face on a daily basis in terms of your academic challenges, whether it's uncertainties, funding? Tell us your experience. How do you fund your funding, for instance?
Like, it's good as you mentioned funding. You put funding number at the number one. Actually, funding has been a very big issue globally. We all know that. Yeah, it's even more expensive if you decide to leave your country. Challenges I have been facing, I would say funding to an extent, because outside your flight training fees and the basic little payments you have to make here and there, you have you're a foreigner. For instance, if you go to another country, you're a foreigner, and so you'll be treated as one. Everything is going to be expensive for you. The government here gives their citizens about 50% discount in what you are paying 100% for. So I believe funding is one key problem. It is one challenge that I've been facing, but to an extent, I would say when leaving your country to another country, especially a country that does not share the same language as you do in your country, you're going to be having communication issues. You know, well, aviation is taught in English globally, but then you still have some guys speaking Arabic in class. You know, I will give an instance of when an exam was set in the class. I was seated in the class, and the instructor was gisting with the students in Arabic because I was the only English-speaking person there from Nigeria, the only black, and the rest were from Lebanon, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and the rest, and Jordanians. So they actually set an exam in front of me in Arabic. So at the end of the class, I asked my friend George now came. I was like, "Oh, guys, we have an exam next week." I was like, when did you discuss that? You know, so I believe when leaving your country to another country that does not share the same language as you do, you should look out for language communication barriers. Very important communication barrier, not only in your training, but in the environment. You're going to have serious issues.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you, just for those practical tips. I'm coming to you next, Mamaj. But before I do, let's make an announcement for everyone listening as participants. If you have your questions, please drop it in the chat box. We come in the next 10 or 2 minutes. We come and answer them, please. Joy, are you there for me? Hello? Hello, Joy, can you hear me? Hello, Joy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
This is a very important question, Joy. In other parts of the world, airlines employ cabin crew based on experience. But in Africa, airlines tend to employ cabin crew based on good looks and age. The younger you are, the brighter your chances, the more beautiful you are, the better your chances. The more handsome you are, the better your chances. Why is that so in Africa?
Well, honestly, Dozie, that is one of the challenges we're having in Africa as regards this profession. The age limitations is really, really a challenge for us. However, why do airlines really prefer younger people with little or no experience? I'll say there are several reasons. One, they want to catch them young. They believe that the younger they are, the more teachable they are, the more willing to learn they are. And they believe that the younger they are, the more vibrant they are as well. And also, do you know that there are airlines that bond crew members? Some airlines will employ you and then bond you for 2 years. So
Please, can you explain what bonding is?
Bonding, some airlines will recruit, they will hire you and then bond you within a certain period of time. Within that period of bonding, you can't get married and have kids. So what that means is that it's just not fair for you to bond a young lady who is already 25 and above. You're going to tell her not to get married or have kids for 2 years. The validity period actually varies from airline to airline, but most of the time, at least 2 years, you can't get married, you can't have kids. So it's easier to do that with the younger ones who are under 25. At that age, some of them are really not thinking of getting married yet. Some may be thinking of getting married, but majorly from 25, the average 25-year-old lady will want to get married and have kids. Sadly, this does not really apply to the males. The males can go ahead and just, at any age, they can get married and have their kids. So that is one of the challenges we've identified. And so because they bond them, it's just natural that the younger they are, the better. Then 3, there's the aspect of pay. Some airlines feel that it's cheaper to have the younger, inexperienced ones. They pay them less, and it will cost them more to pay the older and more experienced ones. So that is also one of the reasons why they do that. And there's also the aspect that those who are older and more experienced are already set in their ways, and it's difficult to mold them into the company's culture, company's way of doing things, because they're already set in their ways. They've had several trainings from different places. And so it's difficult to mold them. But if they are young, they are fresh, they are inexperienced, it's easier for the airlines to mold them into how they want them to be. So these
I'm going to have to cut the Joy with a follow-up question. I hope you don't mind. Because of time, what's your advice for older candidates, 25 years old, 35 years old, or even 40, who want to go into cabin crew as a profession? What's your advice for them? Are there chances of getting employed after training? What's your candid advice to them?
My advice to them is, I always keep saying, it's always better to start early. Especially in Nigeria today, most airlines have reduced their minimum age requirements for you to be hired to 25. Some airlines, if you're above 25, your chances of getting a job is really, really slim. Although we still have airlines who are really not particular by your age, but on what you are capable of doing. However, most of the time, I just advise the young ones that if we have to put it on a scale of 10 to 100, if you're above 30, your chances of getting a job has reduced to 35, 40%. But if you're under 30, you have 80%, 90% chance of getting a job. So I always advise that they start early. The earlier they start, the better.
All right. Thank you very much, Mamaj, for those inspiring answers. Irene, are you there?
You're welcome.
Right. Hello, Irene, are you there? Hello, Irene, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dozie.
Right, good. After completing a specialized course in airport ground operations, you worked as a profiler with Emirates, which is one of the biggest airlines in the whole world. Please tell us about it. I didn't even know what it was until now. Tell us who is a profiler? What do you do as a profiler? Perhaps those listening can decide to become profilers tomorrow. Tell us about it, please.
Can you hear me, Dozie?
I can hear you.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yes, so profiling is one of the many ground crew positions at the airport, and it isn't so popular. But profilers really, they have the responsibility of examining passenger travel documents and making sure that they do not allow inadmissible passengers on board the aircraft. So you'd find them usually in front of certain podiums before you go to check in your bags. And what they do is they check passports, they check visas, other permits, work permits, and the like. So in order to excel in such a role, you need a keen eye for detail. And you also need some sort of technical knowledge on the various types of passports that there are, also visas. You also have to have a very heightened sense of security because it's a predominantly security role. And in some cases, you may be required to take on other security roles such as ramp security. You may be required to escort flight crew, guard the aircraft, and the like. So it's predominantly
All right, thank you, Irene. So perhaps if you're listening, you can decide to go choose this career path, profiler. We can all be cabin crew and pilots and dispatcher and all that. There are so many things you can become in this industry. There's a million and thousand of them you can become. So don't waste your time sitting at home wanting to become one thing or the other. If you can't become this, try that. If you can't become that, try this. So thank you very much for that inspiring and revealing answer, Irene. I'm coming to you, Derek. Hello, Derek, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Right, you are the founder and CEO of iFly Global, as well as the iFly Aviation Academy, right?
That's
Tell us
right.
about them. What are they? What do you do? How have you helped African aviators realize their dreams?
Yeah, so our mission is very important and really specific to some of the people who are in our audience today. And so the iFly, the Academy is a social enterprise. It's dedicated to empowering the next generation. It's dedicated to, identifying our future aviation professionals and nurturing their talents and obviously guiding them into achieving their dreams. Yeah, so the Academy really started as an aviation awareness campaign in South Africa, which was more about just exposing people in the poorer communities to the aviation industry. Because what we realized was that there was a lot of people, even in communities around aviation, around airports, that did not understand, they didn't know. A lot of people have never been to an airport. Even when they see planes flying and landing in the same geographical location, a lot of people don't even know that a flight school exists in their local community. So it's about really exposing the industry to the people who don't have a chance. So that's what we set out to do at iFly. And we've come a long way and evolved with a number of initiatives to try and empower the next generation. And I've worked very closely with some of the people here, especially John Howell, who's got the Aviators Africa Academy. And alongside, on the sidelines of AviaDev, we've held some outreach events where we've spoken to young future aviators about the industry. But what is really specific about iFly at the moment is engagement. I really feel that engagement is important, having a practical experience of aviation and practical exposure to the aviation industry. I think one of the main things as well that is very critical for African young people is to be able to see people like them in these professions. A lot of people, even myself growing up, I'd never seen a pilot in flesh, you know, an African pilot. These are things that exist in the movies for so many people, you know, so they need to see, you know, and not just hear about some of these things. So it's about bringing that closer to them, and, you know, and making the dream more of a reality to the young people in Africa. Yeah, but going that extra, you know, that extra, you know, extra distance of trying to connect them to the industry and with things like bursaries, obviously, everyone is desperate for this. Yeah. Yeah.
So, thank you. I appreciate the role, the work your this is doing in promoting African innovation in Africa. Thank you so much for that. I'm coming to you there, Patrick. This is the last question before John takes the floor for questions and answers from the audience. Patrick, are you there?
I'm here.
Well, I'm sure you must have a bias for this question, but let me ask anyway. You work with Embraer and for Embraer. In the past couple of months or couple of years, Embraer has become more popular in Africa for obvious reasons. Understand? So, do you think more African pilots should get type rated on Embraer?
Well, my biased answer would be yes. Absolutely. And I think the answer is yes, is because not only do we have many Embraers flying today, I think I mentioned we have 200 in the continent, but my job is to make sure we bring more, and we're going to do it. I think you've seen our footprint grow in Nigeria with Airpeace, and they have about up to maybe 30 that might come over in the next few years. In Kenya, they have 15 that need to be replaced, hopefully with some E2s, and so forth, and growing. So I think it's a good investment. You know, the Embraer, our product line is really agile for Africa. If pilots are considering to get a type rating on the jets or the ERJ, I think it makes sense. You'll have you'll position yourselves better to jump in with one of the carriers.
Now, tell us, Derek, is there anything the Embraer offers that other manufacturers do not offer? Why should I get operated on Embraer? What are the reasons I should get operated on Embraer? Is there anything the Embraer aircraft offers that other aircraft don't offer? Tell the market, Patrick.
Yep. So I think our product line. So we have the ERJs, the E1s, the E2s, and when we're talking about Africa specifically, these products are growing at a very high rate, which means that many of the airlines will have these aircraft, which means that those who have a type rating on that aircraft will be in a better position to get a job. So, but when you have the phase out of other aircraft types, which are my competitors, you won't be in a position to maybe get those positions if needed. It's just that we see a trend of more Embraers, which means if you have a type rating, you'll have more of a better chance to get a job. So I think that's the main thing there.
All right. Obviously, you love more percent to get operated on Embraer aircraft. Also want to make more sales to African operators. But this is the last question and very important to me and to everyone listening. Patrick, I'm going to ask you, how is Embraer supporting young and the prospective African aviators? In context, Airbus has an engineering program for African aviators. Boeing has internship program for African aviators. What does Embraer have for Africans?
Yeah, good question. So for Africans, I would say Embraer, we tailor our specific needs within all the countries. We don't have a one African solution. And the reason is because I think at Embraer, we've realized that Africa is so diverse. Our customers in North Africa are different from the ones in West and in East and in South. So we are involved in many organizations across the region. We don't publicize it a lot, but we kind of do it under the radar. Wonders of Aviation in Southern Africa. We participate in the Young Aviation Forum in West Africa. In Kenya, we support young aviators and the East African Innovative Aviation Forum. That's something that's going to come up again this year, post hopefully with COVID coming back to or disappearing. So we are actively, and then the universities. We have a lot of specific universities that we partner up with, which I think I mentioned. I think it's a good idea. I think you are bringing up something, though, that we could explore further. But I think our approach has not been a one Africa solution. It's to tailor our African support to the regions because Africa is so different and diverse.
Right. I'm very glad to hear that. If you do have more solutions for Africa, please let us know, share with us in the group. Let us be the first beneficiaries of these solutions we have for Africa. That's why we have you, and that's why you have us. Thank you, Patrick, for your honest answers. I thank you for everyone else. This is the last question for in this section. Thank you all the panelists. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Irene, and thank you, Jesse. You've got if you dealt with their answers. I'm so glad I had you on this panel today. So I'm going to be giving this floor back to John for the questions from the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Dozie, and thanks so much to the panel. And we don't want you to go anywhere because obviously the questions are for you. So we're just going to do a quick 5 minutes on the Q&A, be as quick as possible because then we want to launch the quiz for all our attendees, and I'll explain how to join that and everything else shortly. So we've had 20 questions come in, and there is a bit of a theme and a couple of things that have come up. So the two big things, obviously funding, which of course, as Dozie said, 87% in that poll said that that was the biggest challenge. And I suppose the question isn't, we know that that's the problem. The question is who should fund it? I mean, has anybody in the panel got any ideas as to who should fund it? Because we know that countries like Ethiopia that has its own academy, it will train students from anywhere, but they will really only employ Ethiopians once they're qualified. It will send them back. So somebody I've worked with, he's qualified there as a flight dispatcher. He's gone back to Rwanda, and he's trying to get a job now with Rwandair, which obviously is tough in the current pandemic. And the second question is and I'm trying to group them together here, is about qualifications. What is actually important to have and what's useful to have? Because a lot of the students feel like, and maybe they do an IATA diploma, they're sold, hey, we're going to get a job off the back of it, but of course they're not. And sometimes, and I'm aware of this in certain countries, that's almost used to the advantage of certain airports or airlines that say, hey, I can give you an internship. You work for me for free for a month. And then when you've finished, I just get somebody else to come and work for free. And that isn't a solution that I want to support or that I think is sustainable or fair. It's simply not fair. You should be paid to do the job that you need to do. So they're the two sort of main themes that we've got. So I wanted to talk to Irene, actually. I think it would be good for you to just talk around the qualifications side and what you think. And also, I think Derek as well, just to get some real quick snippets here as to, I know it's huge questions and we don't want to take too long, but if you could give us your thoughts, Irene, and then Derek after that.
Yeah, can you hear me? So when it comes to the qualifications, because most of the careers in the field are specialized, it's a bit difficult to sort of put a straitjacket, qualification across. So it will depend on the particular field. There are different requirements for different fields, but generally, you need obviously a high school diploma. And then if you can afford it, having a university degree would be an advantage. So that would be the qualification that I can say will cut across. And then we can zone in depending on which particular career we're looking at. But beyond that, I wanted to just add this, that a lot of us, based on the poll, said we want to be pilots and cabin crew and whatnot. And we need to understand that we're going through tough times. Okay, things weren't as straightforward as they used to be, you know, and now we've had COVID-19 even come and make things worse. And so what I would say is that we should be flexible in the way that we approach job opportunities and personal development. You know, don't sit down and fold your arms and say that you want to be a pilot, and because you do not have the funding at the moment, so you're not going to do anything about it. At the moment, there's a ton of resources on the internet. You can take several courses, some are paid, some are unpaid for, some are free, you know. So just make sure that you're constantly adding value, even when you haven't been able to realize your ultimate goal. Just make sure that you are not at a standstill, you're adding value. And you can do that by beginning with introspection, you know, look within yourself. And what are the kind of things that motivates you? What are your interests, you know? And then the next thing to do is to build your network. Find people who, you know, have the same interest as you, and then you can build on the relevant experience and skills and whatnot. That's why Runway Aviation is there, you know. We just want to create a platform where people who have the interest can come to, and then we can pair you with mentors who from time to time will give you real world, you know, real career advice on what to do and the viable pathways to take. So I would say there isn't a straightforward qualification, but just try and at least get your high school diploma, get a degree if you can afford it, and then you can now look into the particular requirements for the job that you have interest in.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think the networking side is something we can all do. And when I think back to all of you on the panel, that's how I know you all. I'm based here in the UK. I first met you all, and Derek and I years ago, we connected on social media, and then Derek came down to the event in Cape Town in 2018, and we struck up a partnership. We've done activities together live and online as well. And it's become a great win-win mutual partnership. I also think the same thing, you know, Dozie obviously challenged Gad about the situation, you know, Embraer, what do we do? Embraer are here today. They've supported this webinar. Gad's given his time. We've got their gifts for the quiz. And I know that Derek's had the same experience with Embraer as well. And I think that for me, they're closer to the industry potentially than many of the other OEMs that are out there. But yeah, Derek, I mean, the question is more about what I want to actually ask you is who should fund this? So the challenge you and I get all the time is people come to us and say, can I have a job? Can you get me a job? And I can't provide that. You can't provide that. We want to inspire people to get there, but what's the pathway? That's where we all lose focus and we all lose. Where do we go? How do we get to where we want to get to? So who should fund it?
Gosh, what a question, eh? Yeah, honestly, and I think there's two ways to look at this. I think there's a Pan-African point of view, and there's the national level. I think from a national perspective, definitely government should be funding this. We all have air transport infrastructure in our countries. If your government has an air transport infrastructure, if your government is floating an airline and saying that, you know what, we're trying to build a world-class airline, or trying to grow the transport industry, or trying to grow the aviation sector, you have to have a strategy as well for developing human capital that's going to, you know, feed into that sector that you're trying to grow. So if you're not doing that, then you're really missing a massive trick, because, you know, the approach has to be holistic, you know, in order to grow the entire industry. So the onus definitely is on the government, who as well have a socio-economic responsibility anyways, yeah, to develop the human capital within the country. And the aviation sector definitely forms a part of that. So I think we definitely need to start calling out our establishment to come around when it comes to this. I was seeing someone there speak about Uganda, that being the challenge as well. I'm from Uganda myself. You know, in Uganda, there's sponsorships for university education for people who are leaving high school. You know, so many countries have that. Even in South Africa, you have that. There's sponsorship if you get a certain mark you can align yourself with a certain university and the government will sponsor you. But they don't do this for aviation. Why is it different? So I think we need to definitely have more discussions and we need to lobby more for this. But our governments definitely are should be tasked with doing that because we simply cannot afford it. And obviously from a Pan-African point of view, and I think I wrote about this about 2 years ago, I really feel that we as Africa, our destiny is intertwined. Our future is really intertwined as an African continent, and we need to work together to develop the sector. So human capital definitely forms a huge part of that. And my feeling at that time, and it is the same now, is that we definitely need a centralized pipeline for human capital development on the African continent. And that was the title for the piece I wrote at the time. You know, I honestly don't know who could fund this, but perhaps someone like the Africa Development Bank that definitely has an Africa strategy. They definitely fund aviation projects on the African continent, and they are invested in the growth of the African aviation sector. So perhaps that is a channel as well. But then again, who is tasked with going to the African Development Bank and giving them these ideas and making sure that they enforce them as well. Yeah, in any case, the discussion has to start somewhere, and here we go.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think I know the guy at the African Development Bank who we should be talking to. It's just, we're trying to do this from the bottom up. You know, that's what the AAG, that's why it's so powerful, because there's 260,000 members of that Facebook group together. We can create a voice and work up, but then it's about working top down as well and having some awareness at the levels where policy is created that this is a challenge. Because the other thing is, it takes time to get pilots. It takes time for people to qualify and be experienced. And if we experience what the US is experiencing now post-COVID, which is a huge growth in aviation, they're saying they don't have enough pilots in America, and there aren't enough this, that, and the other, and technicians and everything. Are we ready? Are we ready? Because we've actually lost people, and we didn't have enough in the first place. But that will be a nice problem to have, I think, in the current environment where we're still suffering waves of the virus, the vaccine, etc. And we're not going to get into that. So what we're going to do now is, we've got all your questions logged. My panel can see them and they can type some answers. Once we've done the quiz, we can come back. But we did promise you the quiz. We did say that we'd be wrapping up in sort of five minutes or so. So we don't want to hold you all day. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you all how to join the quiz. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. And what I would like you all to do on your smartphones is go to, and I'll put it in the chat, you need to go to myquiz.org. Actually, could you do that for me, Derek? Because I can't seem to open my chat. Oh, no, I think I can. Here we go. So it's here we go. I can do it here. MyQuiz.
Panelists are excluded, please.
Panelists, yeah, I don't know whether Gad should be allowed to win an
No way. Panelists are excluded, please.
I don't think so.
Okay, so if you go to this website I've put in the chat, it's MyQuiz. So that's Mike, Yankee, Quebec, Uniform, Indigo, and Zulu.org. And you put in the code that's in the top right-hand corner of my page here, which is 741743. That will mean that you can enter the quiz. So you can do this on your smartphone, you can do it on a laptop, you can do it on the same device that you're actually watching. And I will see this number tick up. So one person has signed in, which is great, but we'll give you a couple of minutes just to make sure. And then once, if you're struggling, let us know. We can wait in the chat. And then once that's done, once we feel we've got enough users on there, we'll start the quiz. And it's automated, and you'll see real time who's winning. We'll see the leaderboard per question. So it's 10 questions. So if you could all do that, that would be great. And the top prize is a model 1 to 100 scale of the E2 Techline Profit Hunter, which I believe Derek has behind him. Do you, Derek? Do you want to do the display for us? Do you want to show us? Or is it still in the box? I can see it. I can see the box behind him. So, oh, here we go. So this is what you can win, guys. So we've got 7 people. Great. We'll give you another minute or two to get signed up. I can see, as you can see on my screen, how many. But you can win that beautiful Tech Lion livery E2, which I actually had the opportunity to fly on with the Embraer team from Mauritius to Addis a couple of years ago. It was an incredible experience. So yeah, if you guys are struggling, put something in the chat, let us know. And we're going to start very shortly. So this is your opportunity. There are prizes for the top 10, but we only have 8 users at the moment. So, here we go. We got 11. Right. So we're going to give it 30 seconds. Then I'm going to start the quiz. And we're just going to go with who else we've got. So when you've entered, obviously you've put in your name. That will help us at the end identify who the winners are. You can get in touch with us. Here we go. 15 now. It's growing. And in the chat, let's see, what are people saying? I can't see it all. Oh, please hold on, logging in. So anything? Okay, that's fine. So maybe you've had a chance, Dozy, or anybody else on the panel to look at the Q&A. Is there anything anybody would like to sort of, a burning question that they'd like to answer, or something that they feel has been missed today that they'd like to say? The floor is open for another couple of minutes to let everybody sign in. The quiz hasn't ended. We haven't started it yet. So I can see a message says this quiz has ended. I don't think that's the case because we've got 19 people that have signed in. So try again. Here we go. We're going now. We've got 23. Fantastic. Having problem. Invalid code. Shouldn't be. Should work fine. I can't help. Just try again. Make sure you've typed it in correctly. That 6-digit code. And then we're going to get started. But yes, not for the panelists. You're not allowed to enter this one. All right. Well, I think we should go, Dozy. Yeah, do you agree? Should we just start it?
Pass a few more seconds to them. 10 more seconds, please. 10 seconds of grace.
Tell it the cost of what?
10 seconds of grace.
I can't hear you very well. I couldn't hear you.
A grace period of 10 seconds.
Give them 10 seconds of grace to sign in.
Oh, right. 10 seconds. Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. Then we're getting lots of people saying, hold on. So 27 is fantastic. So this is great. So, okay, let's, I know Jennifer's saying, hold on. You're saying invalid code. Should work. 741, 743. It would have been easier maybe if it had been 747, 737. Although maybe we should have done, 2195, 2195. I don't know.
E195.
Yeah. I don't think we can have. I think it's just digits only. So maybe that's the future. Right. We're going to get going. Guys. Sorry if you missed it. 29 people. So here we go. Question 1. Here we go. We've got 29 people. And here comes question 1. In what year was Embraer founded? And no clues here, Gad. So 1950, 1977, 1969, or 1986. Great that we've got the answers coming in quickly. We've already got 20 answers coming in, and you can see the live on the right-hand side, all the people who've responded. You've got another 8 seconds, and then we will show you the result, and we will show you who is top of the league table. But there are 10 questions, so it's a marathon, not a sprint, guys, okay? 1969. You knew that one, Gad, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah. Right. So next question coming up, and Zoe is in the lead. You do get extra points for answering quickly. Where is the global headquarters of Embraer? Is it in Quebec, Canada? Is it in São José dos Campos, Sao Paulo, Brazil? Is it in Alabama, USA? Or is it in Amsterdam in the Netherlands? I see a lot of answers very quickly, which is great. As I was saying, the quicker you answer, the more points you get. That means even if all of you get them all right, there will still be a winner because you can't all answer in exactly the same speed. And this is a live and completely fair quiz. There we go. So well done to 61% of you. Paleo has jumped ahead of Zoe. You must have been a bit quicker in answering that question. So you're in the pilot's seat here. So question 3, who is the president and CEO of Embraer? Gad, your name's not on here. What's going on? This is great.
Come on, John.
sorry. I meant we should have said, 5 years time. In 5 years time. So who is the president and CEO of Embraer? You got 10 seconds left. Is it Francisco Gomez Neto? Is it Guillaume Faure? Is it Stefano Bortoli or Michael Delaney? So there's some great, I have to say a massive thank you to Chidozi here because he provided the questions and they've been excellent so far. So well done to 76%. Paleo is stretching out their 4-point lead in first place. But as we said, keep playing because there are prizes for the top 10. Question 4, what is the range of that beautiful Embraer E2, the E195 E2? I don't have as big a one as you there, Derek. This is my little mini Tech Lion. So, but it's still beautiful. And yeah, as you saw in the video as well, they've obviously painted the liveries and we've done some really cool stuff. But it's a great story about that, isn't it, Gad? That it was actually some of the employees of Embraer that came up with the design.
It is. Yes, our colleagues have come up with all of those designs, and I think hopefully a new one will come out soon. Amazing.
Okay, so a third of you got that correct. 4185. Quite a tough one, that, but a heck of a range for a narrow body, and obviously that beautiful 2 seats each side. Question 5, one for the geeks amongst you, definitely here, and I know Dozy loves these type of questions. So, is it the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 that powers the 195E2, the CFM Leap, the Pratt & Whitney PW6000, or the GTF? Paleo is absolutely flying here, got a 9-point lead in first place, but there's some quite interesting, the next 5 questions are not as Embraer focused, so stick with it, guys. Okay, oh, right, you didn't know this out there, and Paleo got that one wrong, I think, because Haig has taken second spot. Question 6, which is the first African airline to operate the 195E2? This is the E2 family, not the E1s. So is it Kenya Airways, Egypt Air, Air Peace, or Air Tanzania? Let's see how good your sort of industry knowledge is of what's been going on very recently, actually. I was lucky enough to be there when this deal was announced back in Mauritius, when I got this T-shirt. Back in 2018, I think it was, if I'm right, Gad. So the answer is Air Peace. 40% of you. So our Nigerian audience obviously got that question right. So yeah, hey, back in the lead here. Okay, question for you, African journalistic and the people who understand what's going on in the air traffic and the traffic rights and all the rest of it. What is SATAM? Is it the single African air transport market? Is it the simple African air transport market? The single African aviation training module? Or the single African air transport management? Come on, guys. I'm holding out here that you know what this is. And if you don't, you need to do some research afterwards. Here we go, Dozy. What do you think? Oh, well done, guys. Top answer. That's 60%. So the 40% that got it wrong, you need to go and do some homework. That's your job this afternoon. Okay, so well done to them. And Haig is stormed into the lead with 42 points. So who is the founder and CEO of AviaDev Africa? Is it Shawn Mendes? Is it Tony Okechukwu? Is it Raphael Cucci? Or is it John Howell? Who could it possibly be? How quickly can you answer? Yeah, we'll just wait on this one. Okay, see some stuff coming through on the chat.
Can't be Raphael, can it?
Raphael, yeah, I wish. Yeah, right, okay, here comes the answer. And of course, the answer is me. So yeah, amazing that some of you got that wrong, considering I'm the quiz master. There's AviaDev on my name, and we've been here for 2 hours. But don't worry about it. I won't take it personally. Okay, so we recently, earlier this month, and I know quite a few people in the audience attended our online event. This is something that's been great to get more people involved. We had a tagline. We had 3 words. Which one was not part of the tagline for AviaDev Africa 2021? Was it innovate, unite, thrive, or develop? Bit of a not a particularly difficult one. If you attended it, have a guess. The leaderboard is still doing, it's still pretty competitive out there. And the answer is develop. So our theme is innovate, unite, and thrive. That's what we wanted to do this year. That's what we think Africa needs to do. It needs to adopt innovation, it needs to come together and collaborate. And then, of course, we can thrive off the bat. And very importantly, the final question is, of course, about our wonderful captains Facebook group. Which year was the African Aviation Group founded? 2006, 2016, 2012, or 2019? Final question. Haig seems to have an unassailable lead here, which is fantastic. And we are about to show the results, and then we will see the live final leaderboard as well. So the correct answer is 2016. And what you will see now in 5 seconds is the final leaderboard with everything showing the results. So congratulations to Haig, 52 points in coming in number 1, winning our Embraer E2195 1:100 scale model. We will get that posted out to you. We'll be in touch with all of you. But well done to all 10 that came in the top 10, because you'll all receive a model. It won't be as big as that, but Embraer have agreed to send you all a model in the post. So we have your details here. We'll get in touch after the webinar. Give us your proper address that we absolutely need to make sure that it will make it to you. And we will go from there. So thank you all for participating. Hopefully that was great fun. I enjoyed it. Dozy, you're back in the room. I'm aware that we're sort of 10 minutes over time, but really it's up to you. And whoever the winner was, actually, can you? I wonder whether they used their correct name. Here's Haig. If you would like, Haig, I've just asked you to join us. You can join us on stage to say a few words if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you can hear us and if you can see us, you are welcome to join us and to accept.
Unmute yourself and say something.
Hi, everyone.
He's here. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks. It was a pretty easy quiz for me.
An easy quiz. Oh, very good.
I'll be waiting for the aircraft model.
Excellent. And whereabouts are you?
From Kenya.
You're in Kenya. And what is it that you do? Are you studying, or are you already in the industry?
Not already in the industry. I fly the Embraer, so I'll give the gift to a few friends of mine who are coming in the industry.
Oh, fantastic. So Gad's smiling. Do you know this person, Gad?
I do know Captain Haig very well, I think.
So we got a
small world.
I can't believe it. We got an Embraer captain, right? Okay, no worries.
What can he say about Embraer, John?
Is what, sorry?
What can he say about Embraer?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. How is it to fly the Embraer? Absolutely.
I think so. I've probably flown the 737, 76, 777, and out of those, it's probably the best to fly. I got to fly the E2 with Gad a few years back. It's an even better aircraft to fly than the rest of the aircrafts that I've flown. So it's a pretty good product. Fuel efficient. We're always saving a lot of fuel, and it's quite good for a break-even aircraft for any airline in Africa, especially.
Fantastic.
Right. So we can clap for Embraer, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got the I'll do the videos again before we leave, Dozy, but I think that we're 15 minutes over time. There's lots of questions. We've got a log of those, so I will share those.
We will answer them and share in the group. We compile the questions, answer them and share them in the group, or send to individuals by email.
Fantastic. And also, we have recorded this as well. So we'll get that added probably to our YouTube channel. We'll share the link in the group for anybody who missed it or wants to go back and watch any of it. So it's available there. And I think that, it was really insightful. I really want to say a massive thank you to the panelists for taking the time to do it, and to Dozy as well for, we came up with this idea together, but these are the kind of things, these are the initiatives. Hopefully you walk away from this feeling a bit better informed. Send us a connection request, use platforms like LinkedIn and things like that to try and grow your network, like Irene said so brilliantly as well. But yes, final words to you, Dozy, and then we'll let everybody go, and I'll show those videos one more time.
Right, I'm glad I've made this. I'm glad I was the captain of this flight. and I promise we're going to crash, and we didn't crash, right? I first of all give thanks to my co-pilot, the senior first officer, John Howell, for being a beautiful co-pilot. I couldn't have done this without him. I thank everyone on the panel, from Derek to Patrick to Mamaj to Irene to Jesse and to Maury, who couldn't join us for one thing or the other. I'm glad you were there. You were generous with your answers. Please, when next we call you, please answer us. I say thank you to the panelists, to the participants who have joined us from all over the world, from Africa, Middle East, Asia, America, everywhere. So the whole world was here today. So thank you for that. Like I said before, we'll go to the questions, answer them, compile them, answer them, and send to you personally by email, and also make a post in the group. So, and having said that, I'd like to say a very big thank you to everyone for having come. It was a nice session. Let's do this some other time in the future. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Right, guys, we'll see you all in the group, and we're going to finish with some nice inspirational videos from Embraer if any of you missed it right at the beginning. So enjoy these. We'll see you online, and we'll be back for one of these very, very soon. Thanks again to Embraer for providing the gifts for the quiz, and congratulations to all of our winners on that as well. So have a lovely day, and we'll see you all very soon.